Alright, back here with another little tutorial. I figured since the Dreamcast battery video went over so well, might as well show how to correctly do a Game Boy battery. And what I got here is a Game Boy, Game Boy Color, and Game Boy Advance. So what you're going to need is a 3.8mm game bit, and you basically want to just, you can find these on eBay. I think the highest I've ever seen them go for is about $8, but you can, if you search around places, you can find them for under $5 or stuff. Especially if you go to places that aren't advertising them under video games. This one says NEX USA number 6, so I don't know if that'll help out, but so yeah, you get your Game Boy cartridges open, and especially since we're soldering, we're going to want to put the casing away. You don't want to end up burning that. And before doing this, you definitely want to make sure and check what your voltages are at, so go ahead and do that in a second. Oh yeah, and for the Game Boy Advance, you're going to need a tri-wing screwdriver. Go ahead and open that one up. This is definitely the smaller battery out of the three. Alrighty, so basically you want to start out by measuring the voltage. You don't want to just go ahead and replace a battery if it doesn't need to be replaced. But if it's low enough, because these are usually normally at 3 volts, sometimes a little higher when they're brand new, like 3.1 or so. But you want to check this with a multimeter, and go ahead and check this, see if that's on camera. Yeah. Go ahead and check this first Pokemon Blue out, and you want to put the positive or red lead to the positive terminal of the battery, and it's marked on the board as a plus, the negative to the negative. And see, that's around 3.04 volts, so you don't really have to replace that if you don't want to. Some people prefer it, some people don't. I'm going to go ahead and pass on that one for now, just because it's not exactly necessary. You'd basically just be wasting a battery. So put that one away for now. How about this crystal? Let's see what crystal's at. Crystal is at, yeah, crystal's dead. It's at 1 volt. It's not going to be holding enough charge to keep the real-time clock or anything like that. So we're going to go ahead and replace that one. And then let's check out Emerald. I believe Emerald's dead as well. Oh yeah. It's at 0.7 volt. I don't know why it jumps to 1 at first, but 0.7 volts. So yeah, that one's going to have to be replaced. So let's do simply the crystal first, since that's going to be the easiest of the bunch. So basically what I did is I ordered these batteries off of Mauser, and you can get them on eBay for a little bit cheaper, but since I was ordering a bunch of capacitors at the time, figured might as well. So there's a battery. It's a CR2032. It just comes like this with the tabs on it. I've tried other methods of basically soldering leads to it and whatnot, and it never works out that well, because the cartridges themselves only have so much room, so you don't really have a whole lot to work with. So now what you want to do is take your soldering iron, get it nice and warm, and basically the simplest way of doing this would probably be to use wick, solder wick. I have just 0.10 inch 5-foot solder wick I bought from Fry's. And you take your iron, you take the solder wick, and you basically put the solder wick over the solder on the battery, and you push the iron down, and it should literally just basically suck it up. it gets attracted to the copper of the wick, and you basically see it as it starts filling up the solder wick. You can see the solder, that is. And go ahead and do both sides. You might have to do it more than once. And honestly, what's easy too is you literally just heat it up and you just take your finger and you just lift it up like that. It's honestly probably the easiest thing to do. And this old one's a CR2025, so that's actually a little less of a milliamp than the one we're going to replace it with. So I'm actually going to be replacing it with a battery with a higher capacity, so it actually should last a little bit longer, all things considering. So basically what you want to do with the solder wick now is go back to the solder points and basically clean them up and make them flush. Because like I said, there's not a whole lot of room in these Game Boy cases. And like I said, the problem is if you leave the tabs like kind of like cockeyed or anything like that, they don't sit flush. It's basically going to push up on this case. And when you have it closed like this, it's going to be bubbled out. And you don't want that. It looks bad, and it just pretty much, that's all you got to say. It looks like crap. So now we want to put this battery in, and what you got to remember is the top portion of the battery is the plus, and the bottom is the negative. The little, I guess, more perforated, or not perforated, the groovier side, I should say, that is the negative, and the top smooth side is the plus. So basically, you just match that up to your board here. There's a minus right here, and there's a plus right here. So basically, you just put the battery down like so, and then you're just gonna want to get some solder. I use 6337 solder. Hey, I mean, you can use 6040, it doesn't really matter. And you just touch up those two solder points. But like I said, you really want to make sure this battery's flush. So basically, just add some solder, and it should start to stick itself down. You don't have to overdo it, just add a little by little. Just make sure to not heat up the battery too much, because these lithium batteries can explode, and they will explode. I've actually not had one explode on me, but come pretty close to when I was doing the whole kind of ghetto method, so there you go. Just like that. Now you should be able to measure the battery. Honestly, should have done it before I put it in, but that's okay. Pretty confident. These are brand new batteries, so they should be just fine. And then measure this while it's in here. And it's at 2.92, actually. So pretty close to 3. A lot better than 1. Definitely a whole hell of a lot better than 1. So then basically what you want to do here is take a cotton swab. I mean, this isn't necessary, but I just like it for making it look nice, because basically when you put the iron to the board, you're making solder mass come up, and it looks gunky and it looks like crap, literally. So you just take cotton swab with a little bit of alcohol and you go over it and you get all the gook off the board, because especially since this is a clear case, you can see it. So you want to make it look as nice as possible. Especially if you're going to resell the game too, because you don't know how people are sometimes when you resell a game. So you want it to look as nice and factory as possible. You don't want it to look like someone obviously soldered a battery in there. So then basically you just put it back in the case, and if I did this correctly this time, it should sit nice and flush in here. It shouldn't be bubbling up at all. Yep. See, normally you can literally see it's lipped out. So like this, it's perfect. Sits nice and flush, brand new battery in there. It's ready to play. And you basically just close it on up. And oh yeah, good thing to note is you want to get it tight with the game bit, but you don't want to over tighten it because you can strip the, not the screw itself, but the hole. So you get it tight enough and it's in there, and don't over tighten it by any means. So all right, now let's try the Game Boy Advance. See, I don't remember, I'm not 100% sure if these batteries will fit, these CR2032s. I'm pretty sure they will, but might have to modify this one a little bit, bend it or something. Yeah, I bet you they will. It just, I think this has to be bent, so. This is honestly the first time I've replaced one of these Game Boy Advance batteries, to be honest. I've replaced it before, but like I said, not this method. I've replaced it simply with just basically soldering it in with leads, or I would literally rip these off and solder the battery in. So, trying to basically get it in there nicer looking, and I definitely don't want that on the pads. You want to watch for the splash of solder on the like gold pads too. Basically, like I said, I want to clean off the solder pads with the solder wick. I mean, you can use a desoldering pump, but this is 100 times easier. I shouldn't even say you can use a soldering pump. You can, but it's not going to be anywhere near as effective as this, because this will literally suck all the solder off, except for a tiny, tiny bit. So, okay, let's try this. So this goes here, and I bet you I can just bend this other one kind of inwards. See how that works. Actually, I don't know if they'll be able to close. Because like I said again, with the whole space issue, actually, you know what, it actually does close. I don't see any bumps or anything. So probably can get it to close like that. It might be a little bit of a tight fit, but I mean, a little bit of a tight fit versus, you know, that's not a big deal. I'd rather have a little bit of a tight fit versus a battery that runs out really quick. So basically what I'm going to do with this other lead is I'm literally going to bend it. I'm going to bend it down like that. And I'm going to first solder that one down, and then kind of literally just bend it over. See how that works. Should work alright. Yeah. Just like I said, you gotta be mindful of your space. So, yeah, I'm pretty confident that'll work. So, like I said, I haven't tried it. I was told that you could put these in here, but I haven't really looked anything up. I just figured I'd use common sense to get it in there. So, alright, let's try that. So basically, like I said, I don't even know if this is on camera. Yeah, I think we're all right there. Basically, I'm going to, like I said, I folded this side of the battery, the positive side to the positive. I'm literally just going to almost teeter it there and solder it down and then kind of just fold it over to see if it closes alright. And to do this, I'm literally just going to wet the soldering iron a little bit. Probably want to, already said I didn't want the plastic near it, but yeah, get your plastic away. You don't want to burn it with solder or anything like that. So basically, I'm going to just have it sit like this. Hit it with a little bit of solder. Let it cool. You don't want to rip the pads or anything, and then just kind of bring it down like so. Yeah, I think that'll work. Go back and no, you know what? That's good. That first one's alright. As long as you have it, you know, you have literally the little tiny hole in here covered, and you have a decent amount holding it down, it should be okay. You just don't want it to go cold after a couple of years or anything like that. You know, and be like, oh, I just replaced this last year, but why do I gotta replace it again? And then basically, I'm just shoving the battery down a little bit to make room in this, because I think there's less room in this than the crystal. So let's see if this snaps together okay. Alright, so after some finagling and figuring out what the hell I was doing wrong, I realized that the battery was too large to fit in here. So basically what I ended up doing is that Pokemon Blue cart had a good battery in it. So I took the CR2025 out of that and put it in this, and I'm just going to put the CR2032 on that. Should probably put it in the frame, because this one is a little too thick to fit in there. But after you position it right, like how I was doing that whole, you know, you fold it over, solder it, and then do that. After you mess with that a couple times, and you position it up enough so it's in the middle, it fits on perfectly. And you're still using a way higher capacitor battery that was in there before. So yeah, definitely, I don't know if I was doing something wrong, but I should say I had it fitting. I just didn't like how on the inside it was basically pushing it up way more than I would like it to, because the point of that plastic right here is to keep the dust out from the inside. So basically, so this one's all done. Like I said, literally just took the battery out of the Pokemon Blue, put it in here, soldered it in right, and it should be fine now. I mean, should probably check it really quick. The meter. I see it's the 3.04 volts, which is good. I mean, that's even higher than the one brand new one I had. So it's not it doesn't have as much milliamps as the one. It doesn't have as much of a capacity, but still, it'll still be better than the CR whatever this is, 1616, and that thing's, I mean, that thing's all, it's at 1 volt or something. So yeah, so maybe not the most intuitive and original battery replacements. I just figured that might help those people who are struggling out, trying to figure out, you know, hey, my Pokemon games aren't saving, or my clocks aren't working on Pokemon, and just a little how-to on how to replace the battery. Like I said, you can get these batteries from either eBay or from Mauser or DigiKey, and it's basically just a CR2032 with tabs. I mean, you can Google that, you can probably find a million results. Definitely don't pay a ton of money for them. You can get them for under $1 a piece. Yeah, just make sure to do that. Have some solder, a little solder wick, and you'll be in business. But yeah, that's my video, and thanks for watching. I hope that helps a couple of people out there.